Take the wheel off. You can use a 22mm socket. Take the lug nuts off. So it's stuck. They're all sticking. Remove the wheel. Loosen up the jam nut. You can use a 21mm wrench or a 13/16. Get that on there and just loosen that up. Use an 18mm socket, take this nut off. Now we're going to pop the tie rod end off. You can use different specialty tools, front end tools, but this actually just popped right out. Now we're going to twist this off. I'm going to count the threads, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Write that number down. I'm just going to use some locking pliers. Just put them right there. Use a 21mm socket, take the jam nut off. Remove the locking pliers. I use some hose clamp pliers. Take this clamp off. Just slide it down. Now we want to take this boot off. There's a clamp right here. Just use a pick to try to spread it. Just get in there. And you should be able to pop the boot. And just slide it right off. This is where that clamp is. Just get in there and just spread it apart a little bit. Now I'm going to take some locking pliers and just go around on the back side of the tie rod, just onto the steering shaft, because we don't want that to spin while we're loosening up the tie rod end, the inner tie rod end. So do the best you can to try to lock onto this. That's good. Use a wrench if you have a wrench that fits. Get into here. Just hold the locking pliers and just loosen it up. Now we'll take the inner tie rod end, and I'm just going to use a little thread lock adhesive on the threads. Get this started. And use the same tool that you used to loosen it with and just tighten it. And if you have the ability to use a torque wrench, you want to torque this to 77 foot-pounds. Make sure you're holding the locking pliers. Good. You can take a little grease and just where this area is on the tie rod, there's a little notch. Just put some grease on that. It's where it's going to spin on the boot. If you want to, put a little on the boot. And instead of the clamp, I'm going to use a wire tie to hold the boot on. If you can reuse the clamp, then it's a good idea. Or if you get a new clamp, that works fine. But if not, a wire tie will work just fine. Just get it close. Slide this over. Slide it over. And tighten down the wire tie. You can use some pliers to tighten it up a little bit more, or some cutters, and then just trim the excess. And that's nice and tight. I'll just trim the excess. Now slide that clamp over. And that's good. Put the jam nut on. There you go. Now put the outer tie rod on and count the threads going on. The same as what you wrote down. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. And that's just going to bring it closer for the alignment. You're still going to need an alignment, but it'll be closer. Now we can slide the knuckle and the tie rod through the knuckle right there. Slide it down. Let's turn that so you can see it. Put the castle nut on. Now torque this to 18 foot-pounds. You want to make sure the hole lines up for the cotter pin. If it doesn't line up, you can tighten it up a little bit more. Slide the cotter pin through, then use some side cutters. Just bend it down. And trim the rest. And just make sure you snug up the jam nut. That's good. Put the wheel on. The lug nuts on. Now I'm going to torque the lug nuts in a cross pattern to 140 foot-pounds. Go around again, double check. Keep in mind, after you do this repair, you want to bring the vehicle to a local shop to have it aligned so that you don't have premature tire wear.